And welcome back to the Georgia State Sports Update. Joined right now out here at the beach volleyball courts right behind the Georgia State Sports Arena. Former Georgia State volleyball star and now the head coach of the beach volleyball team, Beth van Fleet. And Beth, thanks for joining us. And boy, this is an exciting time for you because although it's a little bit chilly out here right now because we're out of the sun, beach volleyball right around the corner. You guys are set to kick off the season here shortly.
We are. Thank you so much for having me. We are very excited about the season ahead of us. We've put together a great schedule that we feel is going to put us in a great position to be competitive within our conference.
Well, let's talk about this team the last couple of years. How have you guys done? I mean, this facility that's behind us is not that old. It's only been out here a couple of seasons. Beach volleyball, relatively new on the NCAA sports scene. Talk a little bit about where the program has been and kind of its rise from the ashes.
Sure. So this is a very special year for us. Our seniors this year were the freshmen of our inaugural class. So this is our fourth year. This is the full circle of what our program started off to grow into. So starting off, we were really lucky that Georgia State believed in this sport and understood how popular it was going to become. And we've been fully supported from our administration since day one, which gave us the opportunity to travel around the country and recruit girls from all over. So we have a very strong team. We have a very mature team this year. They've worked through so many years together of trials and successes, and we're just excited to go perform this season.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about the beach volleyball team. A lot of folks that may be watching don't know. Again, as I said in the intro, Beth was a student athlete at Georgia State and played volleyball here. Now that's court volleyball, if I got that correctly, and it's played indoors in a lot of institutions inside the basketball arena. Let's talk a little bit about your career because you played here and then you played professionally as well in beach volleyball.
Yes, so my time here at Georgia State was amazing. I loved working here, being here in the city, working with the girls that I got to compete with and train with daily on the indoor team. The indoor game is so fast-paced and there's so much strategy involved and it's so precise and it's such a fun team sport. But I'm a little bit of a ball hog and I didn't like sharing the time with 5 other people on the court. So one of my teammates here from Georgia State wanted to go play professionally in beach volleyball. So after we graduated, we worked for a couple of years, saved some money, and then moved to California to pursue our beach dream.
And don't a lot of the schools on the West Coast, for example, all those colleges in California, they're all playing beach volleyball and indoor volleyball and have been for years.
The West Coast volleyball scene is very strong. There's no doubt about that. But interestingly enough, when sand was initially adopted as an emerging sport for NCAA, it was the Florida schools that picked it up. So Florida by far led the country with a number of schools that had sand volleyball, which has now become beach volleyball as an NCAA sport.
So basically what she's saying is that most of the colleges that are near the ocean tend to be playing beach volleyball. Georgia State is, what, 4 hours from the nearest ocean, maybe 5.
A little bit of a drive, yeah.
But yet it's moving inland, so to say. And the interesting thing about it is Georgia State, along with a number of other schools, is now a member of an actual conference, and it's the CCSA, the Coastal Collegiate Sports Association.
Yes.
And it's an outstanding league when you look at the schools that are a member of this conference.
Yes, it is. The CCSA is literally the powerhouse on the East Coast. So there's one other conference, which is the ASUN. So there's some great programs and some great schools in that conference. But then everybody else who didn't have a conference saw the benefits of being in a conference and having some conference play and eventually qualifying for an automatic qualifier into the national tournament. So yeah, so the schools in this conference are very tough.
Which Georgia State used to be a member of the Atlantic Sun Conference, and the CCSA kind of is housed and organized by the Atlantic Sun. So we're talking Georgia State, we're talking Florida State, Alabama, Birmingham, the 2 Florida Atlantic, Florida International, LSU and Tulane, and South Carolina. That's a really nice mix of schools.
It is, and the nice thing about the way that the tournaments work for us is that we don't have to travel to each one of those schools. We'll play a lot of those schools at a different location. So you'll have tournaments where there's anywhere from 3 to maybe 7 different schools competing. So we'll get to see some of those schools in our conference at various locations this season.
What is the competition like? For example, what are we looking at this year in the CCSA as far as who's favored, who are the teams that are really going to be tough to beat this year?
It's hard to say because every year each program gets so much stronger. There's so much talent in the juniors that are graduating and coming into the program. So you really don't know until the season starts. historically, FIU, Florida State, Tulane is really emerging right now, LSU as well in South Carolina. Of course, we like to put ourselves into that mix as well. I think that we've done all the right things to put ourselves in position to emerge from the CCSA this season.
All right, so when you're talking volleyball, again, as Beth and I have mentioned, we're talking indoor on a court, which is how many players?
6.
6. You move outdoors into what we'll call the sand, which is the courts here behind us. And there are 3 beautiful courts here behind the Georgia State Sports Arena that the beach volleyball team uses. Now you're talking 2 girls. So the game and the strategy is completely different.
Absolutely. And you're talking 2 and no substitutions. And that, I think, is the biggest difference in the 2 sports, is that in indoor you have very specialized players who have a very specialized role, and they become masters at that one skill. When they are in the back row or the front row, they may be subbed out. In beach, you have to be able to do every skill. If there's any weakness in your game, your opponent's going to see it, and they're going to exploit that and make you do that skill over and over and over. And if you're having a bad day, we can't sub you out. So you have to figure out how to literally get yourself out of that rhythm and find a successful strategy with your partner. It's a lot of problem solving in the sand.
And if you've played beach volleyball just as a fun sport, if you've been at the beach with your family on vacation, it's not easy, because when you're indoors, the footing, as you can imagine, is a lot better. When you're in the sand and you're barefoot, and it's tough to get your footing, for lack of a better term, in order to set, in order to play as a pair.
Absolutely, and it's really interesting. Lots of times we'll have fans who come watch, and at the end of the day, they're like, I'm so tired from walking around in the sand. And the other things that you don't necessarily notice are the wind. So the wind outdoors is going to move the ball around so much more, so that becomes a little bit of your strategy as well.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your team this year. Let's highlight some of your top players, all your players who you're looking at this year, and how you guys are shaping up.
Sure. So I think starting off with the CCSA, they had a preseason poll and picked the preseason team. We were really lucky to have 2 girls from our team chosen. That's Sara Olivova and Jansen Button. They last year won a very crucial match for us at the national tournament in the Paris competition, and they were awarded All-American status. So it's really special to have 2 All-Americans coming back for their senior year to compete. We also have very strong players in Caitlin Rawls and Nina Intervis. They emerged last year kind of mid-season for us, and we're really excited to see what they're going to be doing this season. I could really talk about every girl on our team. We have so many talented, special individuals. But I'm really excited to see the growth. Some of our juniors have been in the lineup since day one, and they're really starting to figure the game out and grow from there. So Jessica Forspring is someone who we've just watched the power of her game continue to grow each year, and so we're really excited to see what she's going to produce this year.
Just out of curiosity, following in the footsteps of their head coach who played indoor and then went on to play sand, do you have any that play both here?
That's a great question. Dee Bohannon from the indoor team last year joined us for the sand, and we loved having her out here. She brings a completely different dynamic, but her block is so strong, and when she attacks balls, it helps us defend so much. But it's a struggle because you have to adjust to playing with just 2 people. And she was able to crack into the lineup some, but she definitely brings a lot of strength to our team when she's out here at practices. All
right, again, it's a little chilly out here today, but you open the season March the 5th. You're going to be in a little bit warmer temperature, Boca Raton, Florida, down at the Florida Atlantic Invitational.
Yeah, we're really excited. So we'll start off playing North Florida, and then we'll play Weber, and then our first conference match of the year, our first conference duel, will be against Florida Atlantic. So this weekend, we're going to open up and really get an idea of where we are. People keep asking us right now, how are you guys looking? And I'm like, we're looking like Georgia State Beach Volleyball. I don't know what that looks like compared to the other teams until we start playing them. So we've done everything we know to do to prepare, and we think we're in the place to be successful, but you just don't know until you see what the other schools are doing.
Well, Mercer will be here at Georgia State on March the 9th. Then you're at the LSU Invitational. You've got the College of Charleston tournament. And then on March 29th, this is you got the defending champion. You're going to face Southern California.
Yeah.
That's a huge, huge match.
It is, it is. We're really looking forward to playing them. We didn't get to play them last year. They are a very talented team. Last year they were undefeated in every single duel that they played. So they have a giant target on their back, and they're used to the pressure, but it's always fun to go up against the national champion from the previous year.
Well, lastly, a beautiful facility here for the Georgia State Beach Volleyball. I know you guys love it out here. I've been out here a couple of times, and you've had great crowds out here, which makes for a great atmosphere.
Yeah, we have. we have had so much support from the students and the athletics department as well, but it's a beach party out here. We have music going nonstop. There's concessions, people can just come in, it's all free, so it's a lot of fun, and it's a great environment because there's nonstop action. So it can be a little bit hard when you first show up to figure out who's doing what on which court, but as you sit there for a few minutes and watch and take in the games, you can really get swept away in the competition.
Well, best of luck this year. It's been good talking to you, talking a little beach volleyball.
Yeah,
I got to go to Louisiana with men's basketball. I'd rather go to Boca Raton with beach volleyball. So best of luck as you guys open the season.
Thank you very much.